Māori Purposes Bill, second reading.
The bill is set down for committee stage next sitting day. I call on Government Order of the Day number 4.
Interrupted debate on the second reading of the Building Pools Amendment Bill.
Members, the next call on this bill should be from the Green Party.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker.
Kia ora, Eugenie Sage.
Thank you. The Green Party supported this bill, the Building Pools Amendment Bill, to Select Committee in order to hear from the experts, such as Water Safety New Zealand and those concerned with children and with the public on what the real-world implications of the bill would be. Well, we've heard from those submitters, and now the Green Party is opposing the bill. We understand the government's motivation behind the bill being to save money and reduce the compliance costs for pool owners and supposedly also for local authorities, rather than the motivation being to reduce the risk of harm and injury and the number of swimming pool drownings. And that's a motivation that the Green Party objects to. Because, Mr Speaker, this bill repeals the very specific Fencing of Swimming Pools Act and leaves it then to the Building Act 2004 to deal with the issue. So the need in the Fencing of Swimming Pools Act for fencing of pools is being replaced with a much more general provisions around the need to have physical barriers which restrict access by unsupervised children to pools, rather than a specific requirement to fence. Now, the reason the government's giving for this is to, and I quote, strike a balance between reduced compliance costs for residential pool owners and territorial local authorities and maintaining child safety. In the Green Party's view, the protection of children is much more important than reducing compliance costs for pool owners and local authorities. And toddlers far too often drown very quickly, silently in swimming pools. Each one of those deaths is a tragedy. But the Fencing of Swimming Pools Act has been a major tool in reducing the number of child drownings. And it was interesting to reflect on an article by the former Children's Commissioner, who reminded the public of the genesis of the Act, which we are now repealing, and how in New Zealand we had a truly awful rate of child drownings in the 1970s and 1980s, and in the worst year, in 1981, 17 children drowned in home pools. And that led, of course, to a campaign which led to the Fencing of Swimming Pools Act in 1987. And it's been the Act's specific focus on actually fencing pools which has helped lead to that major reduction in the number of drownings. And that's reduced from an average of 10 a year to 3. And of course, each of those is tragic, but there has been a major reduction. And in submissions, the Auckland Public Health Service suggested that the lives of over 200 children had been saved and that there had been several thousand near drownings which had been prevented by the original 1987 legislation. And as the Paediatric Society said in its submission, quoting from government publications back in 1987, and I quote, "The Fencing of Swimming Pools Act is a simple piece of public health legislation that sends a powerful message to the New Zealand public and the pool building industry. Toddlers have to be prevented from drowning in home swimming pools. The only scientifically proven prevention method is to fence the danger." And what the Green Party is objecting to in this bill is that we are getting away from that very simple and clear focus with clear prescriptive standards in the existing Act which determine how high fences have to be, what the clearance between the bottom of the fence and the ground has got to be, those very prescriptive standards, to a much more general performance-based standards in the Building Act, and the fact that the bill allows pool owners to apply to local authorities for waivers and modifications to the pool barrier requirements. And our concern is that that will potentially lead to a lot less certainty and a lot less clarity around what is adequate fencing to protect children from drowning in these pools. And that's the major reason we are opposing the bill.